wearing 17 hats that weekend. And I said, Jeff did so good on day one. I'm so happy he's doing well. What do you think her response was, Jeff?
So we both were a little bit disappointed about day one, but I'm guessing she's like, well, he could have been better. That's my guess.
Her response was too many no reps.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I love you guys, because that relationship, it's so cool. You are fiancés and coach, and sometimes that blends across the line.
Sometimes during competition, I guess more often, but in life in general, we try to keep things separated as much as we can.
So I really thought that was funny, but it's cool. I looked at kind of the way the weekend went. In the first 3 events, you finished one place behind Pat in every event.
I know.
And then
you're like, and then yeah, I know exactly.
And then the back half, you beat him by 2 places in 2 events and by 1 in the last event. So that was such a tight race. Mm-hmm. Are you aware of him at all times on the floor, or do you run your own race?
I think the event 5 and 6 were the only ones that I literally was just watching him, because I knew that to win the overall competition, I had to beat him by at least 1 spot, and I'd need even more. So thanks to Alex Caron on event 5, he basically helped me win. But yeah, the other 4 events, I was just doing my own thing, and I was very nervous, especially like the first day. Like the first day was the day I was the most nervous, and the workouts, like there was no point in me looking at Pat and trying to match his pace, because we had different game plans like for every event, pretty much.
And so this whole season, you have steadily improved, and we'll kind of go back to that after we're done with this. How important was it for you to get this win?
So we actually had l'objectif. The goal to win semis last year. I thought I had more chances online, so I was like, well, let's win because it was Atlas but online last year, and I finished second to Pat. So this year going in, I was like, well, I want to win this semi. This is the goal. Like, I want to finish first place. I would love to beat Pat. That was the goal. And but it was also my first time trying to qualify for the games in a live competition. So again, like this year is the 4th year straight to the games, but it's still like a different year from the previous 3. So yeah, that was basically the goal, like going in and trying to win the semis.
Is there any good-hearted trash talking between you and Velner when you're out there?
Nah, not at all. He's such a chill guy. Like it's fun. It's actually fun to compete with him and against him. And it's someone that it's weird to say, but I don't mind losing to Pat for some reason. But I also really enjoy beating him. So it's like, and I think he knows, like that's how it is. Like the better you are, and when you're fighting for the top spots, like even if you love the guy, like you still want to beat him. And when you do, you're pretty happy. So it was a fun weekend. Like it's fun it's competitive on the floor, but when we're in the warm-up area, it isn't. Like it's fun. It's enjoyable.
There's good banter. I don't think they trash talk, but there's definitely like good banter. And Pat's an easy competitor to be around, like in the warm-up area. So.
He totally seems like it. That's why I was just curious if there was that fun little banter. So that's cool.
Yeah, nobody's gonna rip on Pat more than Pat.
No, true. That's true.
I mean, so like you can try, but he's going to probably beat you at it anyway, because he makes fun of himself as much as anyone.
So I want to ask real quick about the no reps real quick. Sorry. So because you have been doing mostly the online competitions, and this is kind of your first live one to get into the qualifications, how do you keep your composure during those no reps?
I've had some issues with judging in the past, and there was no point in there's no point in getting angry at a judge. It's like, what's the problem? And then try to fix it on the floor. I feel like event 1 was judged a little bit harshly. But I mean, it's part of the game. Like it sucks because that was one of the events I was like, I knew I could win that event and I would have easily, but it didn't go my way exactly. Is it my fault? Is it the judge's fault? Like, I don't want to put the fault on anyone. Were my reps not clean enough? Maybe. I don't know. I tried my best to make them as straight as possible, but it did, like, I did 8 to 10 extra reps on the parallel handstand push-ups, which is a movement that if you do a little bit too many, like, you start failing and then it takes a lot of time to recover from it. But I'm like, going back on the weekend is like, well, I'm going to make the next time I'll do handstand push-ups on the parallels, like, I'll make sure that no judge can give me a no rep. So sure. That's how you have to take it. I remember 2019 was on rope climbs, and the judge was, he was mistaken between 2 workouts. One was all legless rope climbs, and one we could use our legs. And when I got to the rope climbs, I could use my legs. He was no repping me for no reason. And I was like, well, how can I get the rep? Well, don't use your legs, do it legless. Like, that's the only way to get the rep. So just get the rep and then do whatever you can. It's just, it's hard, but that's how you have to do it. If you start just yelling at the judge, it's not going to make it better. So just close your eyes and make sure you get the rep by however means you need to.
Well, and it was a weird standard for the handstand push-ups, correct? Like something different than they've done before? No,
I don't think so. So we could go up with our feet wider if we wanted to, but then to get the rep credited, the feet had to they needed to be inside the hands, which I feel is fair for handstand push-up. And then
no, the issue was on the hips.
Yeah, for me it was the hips.
You had to be perfectly straight from for some of the judges, perfectly straight from your feet to your hands. And we know that the hips are going to get loose a little bit, right? You're going to bend at the hip a little bit. And that's where, in terms of standard, we need to standardize, like, how much is acceptable. If you want everybody to be like a perfect handstand push-up, I have no issue with that. And that's what I try to make him practice. And I'll no rep him at the gym and be like, it'll be fine in competition. But this time it wasn't fine. So that's where, like, as long as it's clear, but if not all the athletes are having to meet that standard, that's where, we get judging issues. And it's the same in every competition. And we've talked about judging, like, all throughout the season. So I think that's a recurrent issue. But for him, that was the issue, was like the judge didn't think that he was like fully locked out and perfectly straight. So he would no rep him. Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys even know this. I was a judge at the higher levels of CrossFit when on handstand. And that's why I said this is a different standard, because when you're on a parallel, you're farther away from the wall than you are at a traditional handstand, right? And they don't want, there are people infamous for, like, their butt being on the wall while they do them, right? So they are completely hinged, and they didn't want that. But it's impossible on a parallel, almost not impossible. It is much harder to stay completely stacked triple extension on a parallel than there is on a regular handstand push-up, because of the angle you're going to the wall. And so that's why I was caught off guard watching it as a viewer, and everybody getting no rep. It was just a weird thing for me.
Yeah. And sometimes too, like, the speed at which they move, and that's something that I've been lucky judging him, like, throughout the years, is he's forced me to judge quickly. Because, like, once you hit that extension and his feet are at the top, if he comes down, well, I need to see that and count that as a rep and not no rep, because I think he came down too fast and you don't need to pause, right? Same thing on the ring muscle ups. Like, as a judge, you need to be fast enough to see that they've locked out and they're coming down, because they are trying, like, it's sports. They are trying to go fast. And that's where, well, do we need to have everybody pause? Like, it'll be boring to watch, but, like, if we want to make sure everybody's, like, locked out, does that mean, like, you have to support and then come down from the rings? Discussions to be had, but in terms of judging at the elite level, you have to be quick, because they want to and they can move quickly, and that rep needs to be called when it's actually done. So
yeah, and the judges aren't always in the best position. You are told where you can stand. You have to make the call from that position so that the viewers can see on the broadcast and that people can see in the audience the action. And so they're not always in the best position to make that call.
And I know, like at Atlas, the judges, they were short staffed on judges, so the judges were working from early mornings to end of evening, and I'm like, poor dudes, like they've been on that one knee for hours. Like that's why, like, I can't get angry at a judge, and I don't want to, because why would I? Until they're paid, then it's a different story. But
I'm with you.
Yeah. But for now, like it's volunteers. It's just people that it's a very stressful thing, like to give no reps, and like it could be very costly for an athlete. Like you have to be on point. So it's just like I'll for me, my job is to get the reps as clean as possible, so that the judge is not in that position to no rep me and have that on their conscience. Like just do the reps as pretty as you can, so everybody's happy, and then we move on to something else.
Yeah. So I want to move on to a better topic, right? Judging has been like killed to death, and you made it through. You qualified. It all worked out in the end.
Yeah.
And you beat Pat.
I did.
So we're all good there. What is the plan going from now to the games? What does it look like?
Well, the goal is still to beat Pat. If I can manage to do that, then it's maybe a podium for me at the games. But I know the games is a different competition. It's more events. The events are different. I need to figure out the games, I guess. I think this year is the best year so far, that I think I have the fitness to do something pretty good. I just have to execute perfectly, which that is very hard to do at the games. But yeah, the goal is to get there as fit as possible, even like so fit that even if I make mistakes, like it can be fine by the end of the weekend. And we're trying to get like everything that's around the competition to be set so that I can be comfortable. Food, hotel, recovery, like everything around the competition has to be perfectly set. So once we get to Madison, we don't have to think about anything except doing the events one after the other.
So I know our co-host Kat is producing the show from behind. She's not feeling well today, so we're keeping her off screen, but hopefully she has your stat sheet. I wanted to point out a couple things. We have partners, fantasyfitnessing.com. They do a fantasy CrossFit game, and they run stat sheets for all the athletes that we have on the show now. And there's a couple interesting elements. And she's probably saying something in the private chat.
Yeah. She doesn't have it. I'll look
okay.
to her.
I have it up. I'll share.
Okay. So Caroline, do you train with Jeff at all, or are you just coaching him the whole time?
I do not train.
We haven't done a workout together in years
so
now.
Long. So long. Before the pandemic, we would still train together, and like my fitness and training was much more consistent. When COVID hit and having to take care of the gym and just all the changes and transitions and policies and how that affected service. And so the last 2 years, it's been like really difficult. And I mean, it's been great because I was training at home and still seeing great results, and I didn't mind, but I wanted to go through that with the community. So it pulled me away from some of the training that we've done. And now like getting back into, volume, intensity, all of that, I am not ready physically or emotionally or psychologically or spiritually. So we're going to get through the games, and probably like after the games where he's like,
yeah, on his way back down, like, ramp up.
I won't match him, but I'll be able to we'll be able to do like fun little workouts together and hopefully ramp back on, because it is something that I miss, like training with him and just like training in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, my focus has been shifted, and just the time that it cost me to do other things.
Sure.
So okay, well, I need to reorganize my schedule differently. But normally, yes, we would used to train together.
Sure.
So I have the stat sheet up, and the one thing that I really found interesting, So the first part here these are all events from 2020 forward. And it has your final ranking, your average event finish, event wins, top fives, and so on. But your average event finish has gotten better and better over the last couple years. And the thing that I found super fascinating is if you look at the 2020 CrossFit Games, your average finish was 3.7, and that was with just 5 people in the field.
Mm-hmm.
Your Atlas Games average finish was 2.5 with 30 people in the field.
I think comparing the games and the semi is not the right comparison to make, because it's 6 against 12 events, and like on 12 events there is one that will be lower, and that will skew the average finish. So we would need to compare games against games, and then
the games 2020.
But then so far the games, every
games
game
2020
done have been different. So it's like, I just don't want to look at everything behind me. I just want to make sure that the average finish this year is much better, and we'll just look at that one.
But definitely, like, the fact that his average finish is going down and improving is the goal, because at the games, that's what you want. In order to be able to podium, to win, to be, part of the top, you need to have a very good average finish. You don't want to bomb an event. You can win many, but if the average is still pulled down because you have also bad events that are compensating for the good events, your average is going to be pulled down and you're not going to make it to that next echelon. So definitely for me, making sure that he has no weaknesses, making sure that his average finish is going up is super important.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing I wanted to point out is they do this thing where your recent event results by movement. So if the event had a burpee in it, they log what your finish was.
Oh.
So what movements do you think you finished the best in?
Cleans.
Probably.
Yeah, right there. Yep. Cleans are way up there.
Cleans, I feel double unders?
Double unders, yeah.
Double unders didn't come up much in the last couple of years, so it didn't make the list.
Mm-hmm.
GHG sit-ups, that's doing fine. Handstand push-ups, I think, is probably my second best one.
Yeah,
I've been doing a lot of those.
And even though you got a lot of no reps, you still do pretty well.
Yeah, no, I think handstand push-ups were pretty good. We're pretty set on that. Cleans, of course. Snatches, we're working on.
This is the one that surprised me. Right here, these guys.
What?
The wall balls?
Wall balls.
Wall balls.
Huh.
Wall balls.
Surprised. Why?
You're really good at them.
He's a good squatter.
Yeah.
Thrusters and wall balls, he's usually good.
Yeah, but you see,
thrusters wasn't too bad. Wall balls, though, a couple firsts.
Yeah.
And then these higher ones are like quarterfinals and open, so where it's not as important to someone like Jeff.
Yeah, different. There's also a lot more people.
Yeah.
And it depends what the wall balls are combined with.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't factor in that. It could be paired with anything, but it's just interesting to look at and kind of see.
Nice stats. That's a lot of work. A lot of work is put into all those stats. It's cool.
Yeah, they're actually Canadians, so that's why they.
They're actually Canadian.
But they have every event from 2016 forward in a database. They can query all this information from.
Wow, it's impressive.
So yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty awesome, and it's a fun game to play too. I don't do well at it, but it's fun to play. So now you have your goals for the games. When are you getting to the States? What does training look like over the next couple weeks?
So last year for the games, we tried getting there very early. We were there, 10 days before the games? Around 10 days.
Well, when do you start, from check-in?
Once we get there, it was just too long. It felt like it was forever before we started the game. So this year we're doing it completely opposite. We're getting in the day before the check-in. So Saturday, the 30th, check-in the 30th.
30th.
The check-in is on the Sunday 31st, and then I have 1 or 2 days of light training over there, and game starts. So the goal is to extend the games prep and the ramp down like as long as possible here in Montreal at home, and then we get to the games, we do the games, we get out. Like we're gonna try and do it this way this time and see if it feels better this way.
And so you said you're going to try to acclimate or try to simulate as much as you can at the games, like a normal day, like with food already being ready, getting all that prepped ahead of time. Do you have someone do that for you, or is it just the two of you doing all of that?
Well, we're doing the planning, but I mean, like food, the last few competitions we've done was we used Rosie Joe for food, and it's just so practical. It's good. It doesn't make me sick. So I'll like, I already contacted them, like, guys, I'm having your food at the games. We just have to make it happen. We're going to stay at the Edgewater again, because everything else was booked. Because I don't book anything before I'm qualified. I don't want to jinx it. So because we're the last weekend, we get the scraps. So
not that the Edgewater is scraps.
No,
right.
We have no other options. Like everything is booked. So Edgewater, but the Edgewater is a nice hotel. We we'll just go buy like a microwave and something,
a coffee machine. We do the Walmart run every year, and then we do camping style cooking in the room. And
but with Rosie Joe, it's easy enough. Yeah. I'm gonna bring all my recovery stuff at the hotel. We're probably gonna have some stuff shipped over there and just get in and try to be out of our routine as less as possible.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal.
Are you taking it to the extreme like Matt Fraser and having your bed brought in and all of that?
I mean, if somebody wants to ship us a bed.
Yeah, we don't have the same resources as Matt.
Really?
I've heard some stuff about his setups at the games. Like, we can't do that. It takes quite a bit of money to do it, or connections, which we don't yet. But I mean, I think we're going to be comfortable with the setup that we have. We're not very difficult people anyway. As long as I have something comfortable and with air conditioning, like it's all good. I think the food is what makes the biggest difference in performance. So yeah, hopefully that's all set. And then the training before, making sure that we're doing everything we can to be ready, and that taper week or half week, like, it's very important to get to the first day of competition and have like all the energy stored and ready to like spend it on the events.
Mm-hmm.
So this is for both of you. For the first time ever, somebody else is programming the games. First time ever. Yeah. So how much excitement is there to see what it's going to be like, and how much nervousness is there to see what it's like?
I think it won't be as different as we think it will be. Even if Castro programmed the last 10 years, Boz was always there. 15 years, whatever. Boz was always there. He probably knew the workouts. He was there while the whole season was planned out. I think that's the only thing missing this year is what is le fil conducteur?
Oh.
Like, what's the storyline for the year? Usually Dave had like a storyline, like the wall walks last year. We had the full storyline. This year, what's it gonna be? Like, even if you look, I think it's gonna be the shuttle runs, but if you look at the opens, the quarters, and then you look at LCQ, like, what's the storyline in there? It's hard to see. It's not as obvious as it was.
I don't think it was ever obvious with Castro. We just like ended.
We just knew.
2020 hindsight vision is easy, but
I think it's gonna be fun. We're gonna swim in a pool. We're not gonna swim in the lake. So that's cool. Well, I assume the last
pool event not good for you.
No, so. the pool, but yeah, but at least we won't be sick if we go in a pool. But the last games post, someone was in a pool, and Lucas Lepeda. So it most likely will be, if there's a swimming event, in a pool, which is fine.
I think that's where I get to geek out a little bit more, maybe. Like, I am looking forward to see what the programming is going to be like, the differences, the similarities, even, you know, from year to year, like how much are we going to deviate from what Castro was trying to build over years? Because that's the thing. I listened to a podcast recently, and he had a vision for like 20 years. And so that was cut short. So we don't have the full storyline. Did he pass any of those messages? Like, you know, the conversation that have been had over the years and things like that. Is Bosman pulling from that? Is he trying to create his own thing? Like, we don't know any of that until the games actually happen. And I think that's when we'll be able to have the most fun and kind of be able to analyze. But just, I'm looking forward to see what the workouts are going to be like and the whole test is going to look like. And we just need to be ready. I'm not trying to anticipate or guess what kind of style Bosman is going to have. Like, he needs to be fit. That's it. But
prepared for the unknown.
Yeah. Analyzing the workout is just like fun.
Mm-hmm.
Our friend from London. Go ahead, Amy.
I was just going to say, Jason from CF Media says, Boz has talked about areas that games athletes have neglected. So what's that?
So Jason, what areas did Bosman say athletes have neglecting? Let me.
What are those areas?
Podcast is this mentioned on?
I don't know. Maybe the longer stuff, I guess. Like the longer runs, the longer stuff, not kayaking. Maybe that. I don't know. We'll see.
L-sit rope climbs. Ooh.
Yeah, that would be very.
That would be very. But see, that would be very Bosman-like.
But very surprising to see. How do you judge an L-sit rope climb?
Well, how do you judge the ring handstand push-ups?
You don't.
You don't. And it was a disaster. And it was a disaster.
Don't do it.
I don't know.
This is why we love having you on.
Do you train swimming all year round, or do you just train it closer to the games? Like, how do you incorporate swimming into your training?
No, we train swimming as much as we can. In the last 2 years, it was a little bit difficult here because pools were closed for long periods of time. But since they've been opened, I've been swimming. Swimming is part of training. I don't think, well, I don't know, but I don't think many games athlete neglect swimming. It's only one event, maybe one event at the games, but in training, it's very useful. I don't enjoy it particularly. When I stop competing, I will stop swimming, but
you will stop moving when you stop competing.
Probably for a little bit of time, but I mean, swimming it's good fitness. It's hard. Swimming is hard. Yeah. Especially for heavy dudes that CrossFit. So it's good fitness.
Well, I've got a question for Caroline, but I want to address this. So let's see. Boz said that there are areas where the margin between the elites and us normal humans at the box is not as big as other areas.
So which areas?
Yeah.
Single unders.
It depends I think these areas that are talked about is maybe stuff that haven't been tested enough to see what elites are able to do.
Yeah.
Like, are we talking about Fran? Like, are we going to test Fran at the games?
Hopefully not. But
because the only
thing
if you think about people at a regular box, people at a regular box can do Fran in sub 230, sub 220.
Yeah.
And people can have very good Frans. So what are we going to have Fran at 155 and like, are we bumping up Fran? Are we doing Fran 3 times with like 2 minutes of rest? Like,
the last time I did Fran is a long time ago.
Because you
once I get like I got my
Fran.
Yeah, but like my Fran is 2 minutes. Like once you get to 2 minutes, it's I don't want to say it's not hard, but it's not gonna make me lie on the ground for 20 minutes. Friendly Fran, that will make me lie on the ground for 15 minutes. So it's just that stimulus is different. I've done Fran at 115 with chest to bar. I've done Fran with 135 and chest to bar. Like I've done all these things, and once you get at a certain time, it doesn't give you the stimulus necessary, which Friendly Fran in the last years did. That workout sucks. It is hard, and it puts you to the ground like for many minutes afterwards. I really don't mind doing Fran because it's a 2 minute all out effort. Just do it. But at some point, I think testing Fran, it's like testing Diane. Like I have a sub 150 Diane, but all the reps perfect? is it easy? Like, how easy is that to judge? Like that at
Yeah,
some
there's no
point,
point.
there's no point in testing those events at the games. I don't think so.
Unless you bump it up
For those
and then
reasons.
and then is it still a benchmark? Like yes, but no.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting.
Yeah.
comment.
So, Caroline, you recently did an Ironman.
Yeah. Ooh.
Let's hear about that. That's where you finish with a marathon because that's
No, half.
Oh, you did half Ironman. Okay.
It's 1.9 kilometers of swimming, 90 kilometers of biking, and 21 kilometers of running.
And was that your first one?
No, third.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. How quickly did your body recover after that?
Well, considering how slow I went on race day, recovered pretty well.
Okay.
I'm feeling pretty fine.
Okay.
It was a very interesting day. I thought I was gonna crush the swim. The swim crushed me. I thought I was gonna, the bike was what I was the most apprehensive about, and that's where I actually like had the most fun and enjoyed. Like, there's a 10 kilometer, it's just hell. And
Yeah.
you can't wait to be finished that. But other than that, I was really happy. And then on the run, I was just like, nope. I got time. I can walk this. It took me 2 hours and 54 minutes to walk and run the whole thing. And but at least like that's the other thing. There's me doing it. There's Christiane, our head coach at the gym, also doing it. And she passed me. I knew she was ahead of me. Like, that was fine. But at the same time, like, I was like, I know because I had done it twice before, and the one thing I remember is not the race, is how crappy I felt after. And you're just like, your whole body's like, oh, you wanted to do that for 7 hours? Woo, power down. Like, I was out and everything. So I was just like, if that happens to her and we're going back to work on Monday and they put the race on Sunday, I was like, I'm going to save myself a little bit and I'm not going to push it. Because I could have like pushed and like hurt myself and dig deep into pain cave. And I was like, no.
I don't need to feel
do that.
uncomfortable.
So I'm happy with, like, the goal was just for me to do it and finish it. Didn't really train for it. The first time I took out my bike was on the Wednesday and the race was on the Sunday.
Okay.
And I did 6 kilometers.
There you
bike
go.
jerk a lot, but he was just like, so that's why, like, all things considered, I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
So what's it like for you, Jeff, when she does events like this and you get to be the coach and the spectator?
So that I couldn't go that weekend, actually. So she had to go by herself, which sucks a little bit. I really wanted to be there. She's always there for me. And then that only one time I could be there for her, I couldn't. But it's different because I'm so competitive that it translates over to her, and I wanted her to win. And I'm like, but she didn't train like at all for it. I'm like,
I couldn't understand.
you're gonna hurt, and it's gonna be slow, and like it's impossible that you finish, like that you have a good finish, and that's fine. Like you train for something if you want to go fast, but it's still fun. Like she finished, and
Are you proud?
that's yes, and I'm actually like I wouldn't do it, so
Yeah, you do. You will.
one day,
Yeah.
but not till I'm done being competitive, because I really don't want to push that.
Maybe you can take on James Newberry.
I don't think so. I can't. I don't want to. He weighs like 165 pounds. Like I'd have
He's a
to
little bit
lose
heavier
like
than that.
40 pounds. I'm not doing
You're
that.
fine. You're fine.
And he did the quarterfinals and
He did some
an Ironman in the same weekend or
those.
something.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It's either like he
A
crammed the quarters and then went on and did the Ironman or something like that. Like that's impressive of him.
Mm-hmm.
Elena, I don't know Elena.
No, she's the one that won the last chance.
Yes.
No, she got second, but she did French throwdown and then she did.
Yeah,
That's impressive.
Doing the French and then going in and qualifying the weekend, like the next weekend, is very, very impressive. Like even like I found hard for the people that got to LCQ at our semis the last weekend, and they had 2 weeks before SCQ, and I was like, oh my God, I would not be ready in 2 weeks. Like I would really not want to do that. So yeah, doing the French, maybe like she just rode the wave of the high of the French and then crushed it. I don't know, like if that helped her mentally, like just winning the French and then going into the last chance right away. Maybe that helped. I don't know. We'll have to ask her.
Yeah, and just so you know, if it pops up as Clydesdale Media, that is Kat from behind the curtain asking the
figured
questions.
it was you typing. I was like, oh, you can just ask it.
Right.
No.
Trying to be subtle.
No, it's Kat on the production detail. I want to talk about a little bit more with you, Caroline, and that is that you've been featured recently in these Women of Sports, and that you are one of the 2 female coaches in CrossFit. It's funny when that came out because I never looked at you as a female coach. I always looked at you as a coach. I didn't even think about it that you were one of 2 female coaches out there, because you do awesome. You have Jeff, you have another athlete as well. And so let's talk about that a little bit, being featured as one of the 2 female CrossFit coaches.
It's definitely not something that I think about or I thought about in general, but I think it is important to recognize if we want things to move forward, I guess. And I hope that it's like, it wasn't a criteria for him, right? Like, am I going to be competent because I'm a woman or anything like that? And I think we're lucky in CrossFit because of just the way things have been structured, and just like from workouts, right? Like women and men can work out together, and we can, we put everything in relative terms, but we can crush each other, and I can beat him and he can beat me. And it's just like, there's not this divide of gender. And, but yeah, it's just, I was speaking to somebody else on that. I think there's probably more women coaches that have existed in CrossFit. We just don't know. Because who was coaching the people in like 2009 and 2010 and 2000? Like, I don't know. And if those Jeff doesn't have to say on his CrossFit website page, like, who's your coach? Right. So we don't know who, even at semifinal level, like, who are the coaches? We don't know. Unless you're training with some of the big crews, you don't know who the coaches are. So there's probably more than we realize. There's just not a way to filter that information out.
Yeah, I would argue up until 2020, nobody knew who the coaches were unless you were a complete CrossFit geek.
Yeah.
Right. In 2020, because you guys got featured as part of the broadcast, because of the small group, coaches got highlighted, and now people know who coaches are. Now you have training camps. Now you have, it's kind of started a ball rolling. But yeah, up until then, I couldn't have told you half of the athletes' coaches, male, female, or other.
The only other female coach that I remember was Austin Malio talking about E.C. Sinkowski coaching him for the games. So that's like the first, she wants to be the pioneer, but like, that's the first time I remember, apart from like, we knew Michelle was Pat's coach.
Yeah.
That was just because also we're close and things like that. Like, we knew. But other than that, I would have to say EC. And then even Tasia, like, Tasia coaches Haley, or she's part of the Mayhem crew. Like, I don't know what her role is per se. And I don't want to speak on her behalf, but she's also a coach, or she's also in that sphere. Like, she's also part of that team that is doing very well. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's more, I think, than we realize.
Well, and across the country, how many of the coaches in the boxes are female?
Yeah.
I would bet at least 50%, if not more.
In our gym, it's 75%. We have 3 female coaches and only one male coach. And so far, we've had better luck with coaches with women than men. I'm gonna leave it at that. But that's for our gym here. I don't know if there's more female coaches or whatever, but it's we've had very good female coaches.
Yeah, I'd say my gym's 50-50.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, not because of me, but like, just the way things are structured and just like how things flow through, and like, yes, leadership at the top counts, and that's probably one of the reasons why it has worked out this way at our box.
Yeah, and then you also brought up the fact that you're a minority coach, which may be even more rare.
Yeah. Which was not something I was thinking about either until like 2020. And I was like, oh, CrossFit Montreal, Jacques is also Black. And I was like, oh, who are the other Black owners? Like, who are the other Black coaches? Like, and then you start like thinking about it. And I was like, he didn't even come to mind until I was talking to like somebody else and they mentioned it to me. I was like, oh, like, right. Like that's, and hopefully that's where we're at, right? Like that shouldn't be the first thing that pops into your head. But again, if having that visual can help for other people, and great. Like, it's not something that I definitely define myself with, but I am who I am and I am what I am. And that's basically it.
So
when go ahead, Amy.
No, you go ahead. I'm switching topics, so you finish.
I just wanted to say it, when I first thought about it, I was like, I didn't even think of her as like a female coach, just a coach. But then I was thinking like, but should I, like, not that I should think of you that way, but I should highlight the fact that you do that so that other people can be inspired to do the same.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't be coaching and programming it's a craft, basically. How I see it, it's like, it's artistic. You have to know what to do, when to do it, how long and how heavy and whatever. Like I can't program. I can't do it. But it doesn't mean a woman or whoever can do it. Like it's just, I think it's something that you have or you don't. A little bit like me, like I'm a good athlete. I have the genetics for it. Then I can be a good athlete. And it's the same for programming and coaching. If you have it inside of you, you have it. Like it's that type of person that you are. And if you like it, whether you're a woman, a man, you're Black or white or whatever, just do it. And then you're going to be good at it because it's something that you have. Like I think that's how it should be. Like if you have it inside of you, just do it.
I think, I don't think it needs or should be highlighted, but I think for certain people to believe that they can do it, like I just thought I had the skills and it was something that I wanted to see if I was good enough to be able to do, and I just did it. But for other people, they potentially need that inspiration of like, oh, well, if I see this other person do it, like maybe I can. It makes them believe in themselves. And so that's more how I see it. Like I'm not trying to do anything special. It's just if it can help other people to believe in themselves, then great. Because yes, you either have the abilities or, I mean, you don't, because I can't play music. I don't have musical abilities, and that's okay. But yeah. Yeah. So
Kat's
I think
commenting here that the most intriguing part is that your duo is that you guys are a couple. There's not very many examples of that at the elite level.
We still have to beat Tia and Shane.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the
I think it's actually more common than we think because you have Emily and Kyle.
Yeah.
You have Jacqueline and John.
Oh.
But let's talk about that couple thing for a second. So when's the wedding? Oh, we're not talking about it?
I don't know. We haven't talked about it. We're just.
He bought time. I got the ring. He bought some time.
Okay. All right.
Rings. I got 2 rings. We haven't really talked about it yet. One day, I guess.
Yeah, it'll happen. I just was curious if there was plans in the talk.
No. With the whole season and this and that, and like the wedding is not. I don't think it's important to you.
The wedding itself?
Yeah.
No.
Like I'm looking forward to the day where I can say that he's my husband. Like but we can do that like on Monday and go to City Hall and sign the paper and it's official, right? So
yeah, but like I don't. That's like boring. The other extreme. Yes. Like I want something in the middle, just right in the middle.
Yeah.
So for now, I think just like I know and like planning and a lot of decision making. My brain is already full of other decision making things. No. Yeah. So we're good.
I need to jump in. Another duo is my own coach, Christy and Patrick. I can't believe I left them off the list.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait till you guys get married. I got to say, one of my favorite parts so far of this interview is when Jeff said that he can't program, and the smile that came on Caroline's face with that, like, no, he can't.
He can.
We try.
He can.
We try, and
It's fun.
I definitely can't program for myself, because the issue is I want to be better at so I'll do everything that I suck at in the same workout 4 times a day. I'm just going to kill myself. Like, that's not how it's supposed to be done. So no, I'd rather leave that to the intelligent people, and I'll do the work like in the gym. That's my job.
It's different. He's not bad at programming. Like, his workouts are good. And he's programmed for the gym, and like, people love it. Like, there's a different style, there's a different stimulus. Like, he's done so much that, like, when he writes a workout, they feel a little bit different. When he's programming for himself, he's just like, I suck at this, crushing myself. And you're like, no, like, you need to train the next day and the next day and the next day. So the difference is I have, I think, more of a long-term view, and like trying to build, like, even though, yes, I'm trying to crush him a little bit. But I do still have a long-term view that he, I think, hasn't taken the time to develop, because that's something that I've done over the years as well. Like, I don't think I was great at it when we started. But since he hasn't had to think about it, he's just like hasn't developed that skill. But in terms of programming a workout or like a week for the gym, or like things like that, his workouts are super fun, and like he's a good programmer.
Not more than a week.
But yeah.
There's one benefit of this I never considered.
No.
Uh-oh, we lost Amy.
Make him suffer the next day in your workout.
You cut out what?
You cut out for a second.
I said, if he irritates you or annoys you, then you can really make him suffer the next day in a workout.
Yeah, doing PVC squat cleans. There's squat snatches.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, PVC. It's fun. You want to make an athlete suffer? Don't go heavier. Go lighter.
Nice.
Yeah. We'll just do technique work for 2 hours. Pistol.
Yeah.
Some other pipe holes in the PVC. Some thrusters in the PVC. Some ring rows. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So last year after the games, you stayed in the States. You went to Florida. You spent some time there. You did Rogue. You did Dubai. And you got better. Like you told us on one of the previous times you were on that you really worked on your weaknesses during that time in Florida. How much more confident are you this season than you've been in years past?
So since Rogue at live competition, something changed. I'm not sure how, I'm not sure why, I'm not sure what, but something has changed. I'm still nervous as heck before the workouts. Like, it's stupid. I'm not like laid back like Pat, just hanging out. I think it's just years of experience, I guess. But on the floor, like, I have a different focus. It feels different. It just feels very different. And I'm not sure how we did it. I think by getting fitter, it helped, because you're more in control of what you're doing and you're not just redlining for the whole event. And I think we learned a lot of stuff about everything that's around the competition that makes for a huge difference. And I think those things make the biggest difference. So, like, we tested those things at Atlas and they worked. So and it was even better than Rogue. So if I can do it again at the games, like what am I able to do at the games on a longer and a little bit harder event? Like, I'm very curious to see what I can do this year.
I think I said it the last time you were on, is the difference, because I was at the games, I was at Rogue. Watching you in those two events, you were a monster at Rogue. Like, it was a completely different Jeff. And it was fun to see.
Also, the 2022 games, it was horrible. It was a horrible experience. I had no control whatsoever on my body. It wasn't a good experience. Like, the only memories I have from the 2022 games is very bad
2021.
ones. 2021, the last year's games. They're bad memories. They're feeling like the feeling in the workouts, just when you're past the red line and there's nothing you can do except watch the other guys pass you, is a horrible feeling. And thinking that you're at your fastest pace and being passed by so many, it's not fun, because like we work out, we train hard all year round to be fit and beat other people, and then you get beat repeatedly. Like that's hard. Like, so that's what I remember from the games. Luckily, Rogue went super well, so it eclipsed some of those bad memories, and then Dubai went okay, and then Atlas went super well. So hopefully, like, I try to take those events, those experiences, and try to replicate them at the games.
I think there's a lack of competitive experience from the fact that he doesn't have a background in sports. Like, we've mentioned that many times, and you get, like, I played volleyball in high school, so like, ooh. But the first time you play the game, you're like nervous, and then the second time, and then but eventually, like, you figure things out, and things will just kind of start falling into place, and you're able to read the game a little bit more, and you prep a little bit better. And I think for him, that was kind of like the growing pains, and he had to grow at the games, which is the worst thing you can do. But that's basically what we've had to do, because he qualified in 2019 through the season change, and 2020, 2021 with all COVID stuff, and like it just feels like a lot of growing pains. And I think Rogue was finally, like, we were getting out of those woods, and we were able to kind of, like, he's a butterfly now. Like, he finally, like, kind of opened up its wings and took flight, and hopefully
took a few years, but I got there.
We're getting there.
I got there.
But I feel like I think there's a little bit of that. If he had played more organized sports, would he have peaked earlier? Would he have performed better in live competitions better? Like, 2018 Dubai was like your first competition. Well, except for regionals. Well, regionals, but regionals you legitimately went for fun, because like we were like, hey, we're gonna focus on next year. Like, let's enjoy this experience and not put too much pressure. And Dubai was like the first one where we like qualified for it and went, and it was like a big elite competition because the structure was different. But that was, his practice runs was like regionals in Dubai, and then Wadapalooza in 2019. Like, there's not a lot that we could have done in the past 4 years to practice. With the season change, like, would it have been different if we wouldn't have had sanctionals? Because then he could have practiced elsewhere a little bit more. But then the whole season changed again. So I think there's a little bit of that. Like, Rogue was just the tipping point.
So did you need the 2021 games to have the training session in Florida after?
So the reason we stayed in Florida is the gym was closed here in Montreal. So we had absolutely no reason of coming back. So we just stayed.
No, the gym closed or not?
It was closed while we were over there. It opened back up after we came back in November. And it was
I think
closed for most of the time.
What I'm trying to say is your training you said you worked on your weaknesses during that time. Did you need the bad experience at the 2021 games to have that training?
Yeah. So there's different things like the echo bike and snatch event at the games. We knew like we were doing Rogue, and then we knew Rogue had heavy sandbag carries, odd objects, on the field stuff, ruck stuff. Like, we knew what Rogue would look like. So we trained, like, not specifically, but we trained stuff that we knew could come up. Plus, like, we figured out, like, what did I suck the most at the games, and let's figure it out. So I think, yes, we worked on the right things. Not everything.
I sound harsh, but like, honestly,
I had 2 good events.
You had 3 good. No, he had. The performances weren't stellar, but there's so many, like, for me, very proud moments. Like the handstand walk with the parallel. He was like, that was the first time we ever got, like, we don't have that equipment. You see other people training with that equipment. And just the fact that he was like, I'm not finishing. And he finished the event. And I was like, oh my God, this is like the ranking, the performance was low. But the fact that, like, if he kicked up a little too fast, failed a couple times, that cost him time. Like, okay, we can learn from that. But he was able to do.
Yeah, he accomplished it still.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, like, disappointing finish, but great in the sense that, like, he managed to conquer that fear and he managed to walk on the parallel. What else? There's a couple of even the pegboard workout.
The pegboard went well.
It wasn't like could he have pushed the pace a little bit more? Did he have the fitness for it? Maybe, maybe not. But like the execution was huge. I think he tripped once.
Maybe.
Like otherwise, it went relatively well. Like there's just things that I was like, it just didn't translate into like good rankings and good times and good performances and bring him up the leaderboard. The run toast to bar, you finished 8th, but that was like you were.
I had no choice.
You know, so
because if I wanted to keep, if I wanted to stay in the weekend, it was like run or die.
So he ran like the wind.
I did.
But you maintain your pace. Like he set out with a pace, and he was able to maintain, and he, had his game plan on the toast bar, and just like there was, from me, from a coaching standpoint, there was good moments at the games. It was just, it wasn't good enough in terms of ranking and position and fitness level. So just need to keep bringing the fitness level up and make sure everything is better.
So my final question for you is, going into this year's games, will you be satisfied if you do better than last year? Like that you don't have to worry about the cuts, a good top 10 finish, or is your goal truly to podium?
So doing better than last year, I hope so, because last year sucked. Like, no, I'm not. And everybody that goes to the games will tell you the same thing. We are not training to finish outside the top 10, even outside the top 5. Like, everybody's training to be as high as possible on the leaderboard. I think I still have to beat my 2020 ranking, because I think I want to prove to myself and to everybody that wasn't a fluke.
Yeah.
So that's my goal. And I truly think that we have a very good chance this year. I don't want to jinx anything, but I mean, I'm training really hard. We're working on what we have to, and hopefully it translates into a good positioning. That we can't control. I can't control how fit the others are. I can't control the workouts. But what I can do is make sure that I'm in the best position to get the best position at the games.
I have one more question. Canada. The Canadians have put a ton of people into the games this year. Is there a sense of national pride when you see that on the leaderboard, all those Maple Leafs?
Yeah. And I think there could be more. If the games wouldn't put us all in the same event, we could have more, I think.
Yes, seriously.
So, I truly think Canada, Quebec, the Quebec region, like around here, the top 5 at Atlas, 4 of us are from Quebec. Like, there's good athletes around here. I think maple syrup is doing its job. Hopefully we get scattered around next year and have even more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything else, Amy?
No. This has been so much fun, though. I love it.
Yeah, we're coming up on the hour, so we want to let you get back to your day. Thank you so much for jumping on.
Thank you.
It's been a blast as always. You're just my favorite people. I just love having you guys on. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
Thank you.